So about 3 weeks ago, I went to watch the Sound Euphonium movie, the third movie, and it's this is the actual like sequel movie because the other two are recaps. And it was once again like with Code Geass and the Heaven's Feel movie. It was a limited screening that they did in select theaters, and like with those movies, I went and watched it. And this time, unlike with Code Geass, I managed to watch the subbed version. So I watched it, and I like with Code Geass and Heaven's Feel, I wanted to put together a review because it's just easier to review movies because obviously they're shorter. But at the same time, anime like series are available online and then like Crunchyroll and stuff. While the movies you have to wait for like Blu-ray and stuff. So I think it's more rare for you to see like a review for one of these movies because you actually have to be like near a theater that's doing a screening. So, and I can do this before it's available, like to the public, Blu-ray and whatnot, so I can get like first, like one of the first reviews, I guess. But enough rambling. So let's get to the review. Now, this one's gonna be brief. It's gonna be shorter than the other ones because it's a pretty straightforward movie. Like, there's not too many like, there's really no surprises. It's pretty straightforward, and I want to try to just keep it as brief as I can. Now, I normally like to keep my reviews spoiler free. For this one, I would like to say it's spoiler free, but I will say some things like maybe, for example, let's say, oh, they go and play, they go and play bowling or they go play golf. So I'll tell you like maybe they do this or this activity, but I'm not telling you like the whole picture. Just saying like, oh, they go and play baseball, for example. And at the same time, I might say, like, for example, let's say it's a character's birthday. Oh, it's this character's birthday, but at the end of the movie, they didn't they didn't have a birthday party for them. That's too bad. Like stuff like that. So it's not really any. I'm not gonna spoil anything major, but if you don't want to know anything at all, then just a warning. So now let's get started. So again, like I said, it's a pretty straightforward movie. You still have like the drama. There's still the good orchestral music, and you still have Kyoani's really beautiful art and animation. So if you watch season one and season two, you'll feel pretty much at home. So I still did enjoy the movie. However, I do have I did have like a big criticism, and that's pretty much because it's a movie, not so much like against the not the content. It's just the fact that because it's a movie, there's a limit to what they can do. I think I said this in my Code Geass review, but I'm not really a fan of anime movies per se because there's only so much you can do in such a limited time because no movie is gonna last 6 hours because no one's gonna go to the theaters because movies are meant for a theatrical release. No one's gonna go to the theater and sit there and watch a movie for 6 hours. It's just not gonna happen. Like even a few years ago, decades ago, when movies were like 3 hours long, and that was like the norm. Even it's 3 hours. It's not six. And there's only one anime movie, which is the Madoka Magica Rebellion movie, which I think I did mention this in the Code Geass video. But that's the only one I've seen that's almost 3 hours long. Every other anime movie, tops up at like around two. So it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and some are even shorter than an hour and a half. Because of this, I feel like they end up having to rush, in order to be able to fit a whole story with it, beginning, a climax, and ending, which means that they have to cut a lot of things and it will feel rushed. Now, I didn't really feel this with Heaven's Feel because it's a movie series. So they're trying to tell the story in three movies, meaning that they do get the like around 6 hours, like I mentioned before. And the Code Geass one is a little longer than the Sound Euphonium one, and it also just felt like because the big thing that made this one feel rushed is that seasons one and two cover the so we have our main character Kumiko. She's a first year, so her entire first year is covered in the first in the two seasons of the actual anime. So that's two seasons, which, if I recall, it's 24 episodes total. So they had 24 episodes to cover a whole class year, a whole school year. It ends with the third years, graduating, and then Kumiko and Reina become second years, and then the second years become third years, and that's where this movie begins. So the thing that really makes the fact that they rushed it seem apparent is that they did the whole second year for Kumiko. Her whole second year is covered in this movie. So an hour and a half, and they covered it pretty much the same like time span that 24 episodes covered. So this means that yes, it really felt rushed. Sometimes you will see transitions like they're doing something, and then it would be like they would fade away and fade back to like fade into like another scene, and they would be doing like something completely different, and they would never say like, oh, it's been like a month later or anything. So you start the movie and you're watching it and you're enjoying it, and then when you get to the end and they tell you like, oh, a whole year went by, it's like, what, really? It just feels like they rushed too much, and they played a lot of I'll say greatest hits basically that the actual anime did, because you have the training camp, and in the same location as before. You have the pool trip, you have the band marching segment too. So that's probably maybe another criticism, because they did like shake it up a bit. Like they changed it because, again, because the third years graduated, there's like we now have new first years joining in. So there's new characters and new like character relationships, building up. So that did make it more interesting, but we did see the characters doing the same things they did before. So it did feel kind of like they were just threading familiar territory again, and it didn't help, like, again, all those scenes that I mentioned, like the pool, the training camp, they didn't last more than like a few minutes. Like the pool was like a minute literally, and it was over. So I just feel like that's the main thing that I disliked of this movie, is that they just rushed it too much. And I guess I can't really be too hard on it, because again, they took the path of making it a movie. And because an anime movie is like, sometimes why they do a movie instead of a season is because it is easier to do a movie because it's shorter, and you don't have to like bother with like a weekly episode. You have to have an episode ready for a total of the 12 weeks or whatever. You can just get a movie. It's shorter. There's less. They can put their resources to better use in animating less. So I can understand, that, but it just felt too jarring to see like the whole second year rushed through, and then at the end, because they say like post credit, you see that Kumiko comes up and she's like, "Oh, I'm a third year now," and they already announced that there's gonna be like a sequel. They haven't said whether it's gonna be another movie or maybe it's gonna be season three, but her third year is gonna be adapted into another anime project that's already announced. So I hope that one is a season, and maybe we can see like you know the progression, not have this like rushed ordeal. Because another thing is, like I said with like the birthday example, is that season two ended with the third years graduating, and it was a big like it was a sad and big occasion. Like they really showed how all the characters grew together, and having to drift apart like that, how it had an effect, emotional effect on the characters. Here there's no graduation. Like the second years, like I said, the movie ends, and then there's the credits and the post credit. It's just Kumiko. "Oh, I'm a third year now," and whatnot. Like, and she's like looking forward to what she's gonna do now as a third year. So the second years, we didn't even get like a goodbye or a graduation or any of that emotional, payoff, I guess. So I think that robbed, like, why did the second years, they did not deserve to get like a proper send off? Or I guess it's just that they couldn't, they didn't have time. Again, it's because it's an hour and a half. They probably had to take everything that happened in like seasons one and two and pick like the best, or pick what they could fit into an hour and a half to still make a movie that has a start, a climax, and an ending. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, I still enjoyed the movie. There was some drama. One of the new characters, one of the new first years, was a pretty interesting character. She had this like desire to like bring everyone down and like just begin like drama and chaos. So it was fun to see her go around and kind of start trying to trip people up. So, like I said, it's an enjoyable movie. If you saw season one and season two and you like them, then you're gonna like this movie too. However, I do feel like I don't. It shows this movie shows why I rather get a season than get an anime like a movie, because it just felt like they did a disservice to the overall story. They just rushed it too much, and all of those like scenes were like just brushed over, like they were just included there like extra. So that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it. Again, it sounds harsh, like I'm bashing it, but I still did enjoy it. It's just that I don't like to see things get rushed, and it felt like they left too much stuff out. So I'm hoping that we can get like a full season. Now that's it for the review, but here at the end I just want to add a little thing. So as you might know, if you've been following, like if you follow anime news and whatnot, so Kyoto Animation, which is actually the studio that made this movie, they had a fire in their building one. It was an arson case, so someone lit the fire and whatnot. So I actually watched this movie and I learned of this news, or I guess it happened like a day or two after. So I've watched a lot of KyoAni animes before, so this isn't like my first or anything. Like I said, I did watch the actual anime of Sound Euphonium, and I've watched several others like Hyoka. I really like. So it's just that it like I had, because there's also K-On! Which they made as well, and I had never seen K-On!, and I actually started watching it like before. Like I watched this movie like almost 3 weeks ago, and I started watching K-On! Like a few weeks before that. So, and I actually had to rewatch bits of season two for Sound Euphonium so that I could like refresh my memory. So you can imagine like I'm watching K-On! And then I'm rewatching some, Sound Euphonium, and then I go and watch the movie. So it's like all this KyoAni stuff, and then this happens. It just, it hit me pretty hard, because you never want to see something like that happen. Like, doesn't matter what company, but it's just, it's a company that has created some, really special shows that have touched many people, myself included. So since I'm making this, I just happen to be making this because I want to make a review for any anime movie I go to see. I just wanted to add a little portion here at the end, just thanking, KyoAni for everything they've done, all the anime they've created, and just to say that I hope they recover. I'm really sorry for all the losses and everything that happened. I'm just hoping that they can, get back up and continue to produce all these great shows, because Violet Evergarden is another one that really touched me, you know. And the movie, they have a movie actually coming out, and I read a news that they're gonna go ahead with the premiere as planned and whatnot. So if they bring that one, I'll watch it as well and do a review. But again, thank you, KyoAni, for everything you've done, and I hope that you can recover from this and continue doing what you love and what we love. So that's it. Again, thank you for watching the video. Drop a like if you enjoyed it. If you did watch the movie, then share your thoughts down there. So that's it. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.